Hello, my awesome project managers. I wanted you to know, those of you getting ready for the PMP exam, that I have a link for you to over 200 situational questions that diligently cover every knowledge area. This is it right here. And if you hover over the timeline, you can see I've got one on integration, hover over the timeline, and you'll see where the changes happen. But I have this for you, and I would really like for you to take these 200 questions. So I am going to put a link in the chat below, and you will be able to see this playlist. As you can see over here, we have a playlist with integration, scope,
Hello, my friends.
schedule. You see that?
Hello.
Every single knowledge area is here. We just hone in there. You can see every knowledge area. So whichever pain points you've got in the knowledge areas, you could zoom straight in, click that link, and you will be able to take a quiz that tests you situationally. They're very challenging, these questions. And you can see the time for each of these is bordering on 30 minutes, some of them almost an hour. So this is some really good stuff I've put together for you. But before I go, I have got some questions for you. I want you to think like this on the PMP exam. If you are 40,000 feet in an aircraft and you're flying to your destination and you're thrown out at that level into the dark, you're in military operations, right? And you land somewhere. The question is going to be, where am I? Where am I in project management? Where am I in the world of the PMI? Am I in the world of initiating? Am I in the world of planning? Am I in the world of executing? Am I in the world of monitoring and controlling? Am I in the world of closing? You got to ask yourself that based on what you're hearing. A manager is giving feedback to the team. So this is a very simple one. Where am I? Managers giving feedback to the team. Well, you're not in initiating, and you're not in closing, and you're not in planning, and you're not in monitoring and controlling. You're actually in executing. A manager is giving feedback to the team. This is in resource management. This is in the manage team process. So you got to understand the little nuances in what PMI is saying. To go a step further, you need to know, where am I by way of, am I in an agile environment? Am I in a predictive environment? You need to understand that. Or am I in a kind of hybrid? So when you look at a question, if PMI doesn't tell you you're in agile or predictive, you should be able to apply the right thinking to know where you are. Something else you need to understand is, which knowledge area is this and how is this typically handled? Am I in integration? Am I in scope? Am I in schedule? Am I in cost? Am I in quality? Am I in resources? Am I in communications? Am I in risk? Am I in a double whammy of risk and resources? Or maybe a triple whammy of risk, resources, and schedule, or a quadruple whammy of risk, schedule, resources, and costs, maybe? How are all of these interconnected? And then, based on your understanding of where you are, the what should you do next question on the exam will make more sense, and you will be able to answer it. But I need you to be thinking like this, right? Am I in procurement? Am I in stakeholder? Where am I? Okay, so it starts off with this very basic understanding at a very high level, at a very generic level. For example, I am just done creating a document that authorizes the project working with the sponsor. So I'm just done with authorization. What do I do next? Do I do an analysis of data? Do I do planning? Do I do executing? Do I do monitoring and controlling of something? If you're just done with authorization, then you don't have data to analyze yet. And you haven't planned, so you can't execute. And even though you would go into general monitoring and controlling, but you want to do some solid planning, that would be what you would do after authorization. You would plan, you would ensure that you flesh out your charter, because when we say authorization, we're talking about charter. You get what I'm saying? So, my friends, that is the general idea. The way you need to think is, what am I doing? What should I do next? So, the exam could be this. What are you doing? And then what should you do next? Okay. But a lot of the exam is not simply about what you're doing, it is about what you are facing. And when we talk about facing, we're talking about problems, right? We're talking about an obstacle. We're talking about an impediment. We're talking about a blocker. There's always some challenge. This has happened, right? What problem are you facing? And then what should you do next? But watch this, watch this. What should you do next to actually solve the problem or to move the issue, the resolution, to move things forward, to get some sort of resolution? And when you take a look at options A, B, C, and D, there are going to be gradations of impact. The thing that says, oh, discuss with management is usually not the right answer. The one that says, analyze the situation, analyze the data, is usually a better option. But in some instances, the question could say, you have analyzed the data. Then you wouldn't choose that, right? So some of it is part common sense. Parts of it are knowing where you are in the forest, dropped out of the helicopter, and pieces of it is following through a string of ideas. A common one is you are late. The schedule is behind. And they say, what should you do next? And you have A, B, C, and D. And A says crash. B says fast track. C says request a change. And D says analyze current conditions. The best answer is not going to be request a change, because you need to know what the change is. So it's going to be D. And this gets a lot of people who go for the shiny object syndrome of, oh, crash, that sounds smart. That sounds like a project manager. Oh, fast track. And those are wrong. You get what I'm saying? So I want you to get into the mental state of thinking on this exam. You always need to first solve the problem, understand the problem, okay? And that takes us finally to my dig sieve approach that I've told you about before. Every problem needs to be defined, right? Then you need to identify the root cause of the problem. If you don't know the root cause, how are you going to get a solution? Then you generate alternatives. That's how you do it in the real world, and that's how you should on the exam. And then you choose the best alternative, and then you implement the alternative. You implement it, mentally implement it on your exam as you're choosing, oh, I'm going to choose option A. Well, have you gone through a mental check? You need to do all of this stuff, and it's all muscle memory in like milliseconds, because you've only got 1 minute. So you need to go through all of these steps, but you need to train yourself to do it by doing a lot of questions. So define, identify, generate, choose the best alternative, implement it in your head, and have a double take. Would that truly work? in the real world, this is used as problem-solving approaches. This is a problem-solving framework. It's talked about in PMP 6 in the quality chapter. I just coined it as Dixiv. It's a very robust way of doing it, because when you're identifying a problem, you could break it down, right? You could try to identify the root cause. You could break it down to find the root cause, and you could also analyze data to find the root cause. So this is a proven method in the real world. I would advise you to apply it to your exam. Define the problem in the question, identify the root cause of the problem in the question, and then generate alternatives in your head and make sure you choose the best one with critical thinking. So in your head, you got to imagine, okay, if I implemented this in the real world, would it really work? Truly sure. And don't do too many double takes. Just say, okay, am I really sure, and move on. That's what I would advise. If you are struggling in your prep, I want to invite you to hpmexam.com, because the PMP is an HPM exam. It's a hybrid project management exam. And I have a vehicle in place, 2023 and 2024, to help you not only get certified, but also to be a real success after the exam. So I have both a program that's lifetime access for the PMP, and then I have another program that is lifetime access for life after the PMP. And I highly advise you to jump on these programs, because these programs will be yours for life, and I will keep updating them. And guess what? You're going to be able to get PDUs from these programs. So go on down to hpmexam.com, okay? And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now, my friends. Take it easy. Happy holidays. Talk to you soon.